Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Are you guys excited for transformation time? We're going to be learning about Ben's personal life, personal development journey. So I'm so excited. He should be coming on in a couple minutes. I'm going to see if he's on. I'm going to see if I can request him. Yeah, we're just waiting. We're waiting for Ben, but so now we've changed the name of our show, or I mean, gave it a name, I should say. So we're going to call it Transformation Time. And the purpose is to understand people's personal development journeys, which I think is really fun because we don't realize, a lot of us don't realize that really we need to fix ourselves to be able to actually be the best that we can be when it comes to being an entrepreneur, becoming successful at anything. Let me see if Ben's on yet. I don't see him on. Let's see if I can request it. Sorry guys, I was having technical difficulties. I don't think I restart my phone enough because usually buttons start disappearing on me. So I think it's kind of weird. But let's see, let's keep an eye. Hopefully Ben will come on in a few minutes. How's everything going with everyone? I don't know if everyone has really nice weather, but at least here, I mean, for the frozen weather we had a couple days ago, it's really nice today. So I'm kind of happy about that. I got to go outside and, well, I mean, I've been going outside for walks every day, but at least not freezing to death. Okay, let's see. Where is Ben? I don't know if I want to start this again. Because Ben... Okay. Sorry guys for all the technical difficulties. We had a delay and then I couldn't get my live to work. But we will get Ben on in a few minutes because we were chatting just before trying to figure out my technical problem. So he is here and he is coming on. Oops, I'm just fixing my screen. We're just waiting for him. Or I hope he doesn't think it's on Facebook. Why is my screen all sideways? Hey Sarah, I'm waiting for Ben. Let's see. Yeah, still waiting for Ben to hopefully talk about his life, his personal development journey. And we were chatting with him, so I know he's there. I just don't know where he's at. And I don't know what's gonna happen because we were chatting on Facebook, so I don't know what's gonna happen if I go on Facebook. I might go to a pause. I'm gonna test it because I've never tested that, so I'll be back in a few if I disappear. Okay, there we go, he's on. Hey Ben, okay, let's get you on. How do I get you on now? Okay, there we go.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Sorry for the technical difficulties. My phone just likes to do weird things sometimes.
No worries. No worries.
But I'm so glad to have you on. I think it's going to be exciting, great for the viewers and all of us to just learn a lot about you and especially about your personal development journey. and just what we can all learn from the path that you've taken and just what your learning experiences have been.
I love it.
So,
Let's do it.
so
Yeah. Andrea and I,
awesome.
my wife and I are traveling, so we've got a few months of travel and exploring the world. So we're driving as we do this. So hopefully we'll have a decent signal. But I'm all yours. Let's roll. Let's help some folks out.
Awesome. So just to give everyone a perspective, can you tell us where you are right now in your entrepreneurship real estate journey? Like, where you are right now?
Sure. So, yeah. So I've been doing real estate investing for 14 years. We've done everything from landlording to flipping properties to private mortgage company to wholesaling, just about every strategy. We became the largest single family investor in southwestern Ontario and largest private mortgage lender as well in that region. So that we started that business probably about 6, 7 years ago and developed that as well. So it's been one thing after the other for the last 14 years. Started from scratch and just built it up property by property over hundreds of deals.
That's awesome. So now let's start from the beginning or whatever you consider your beginning. So what would you say were your skills that you kind of came to you naturally that helped you with your to start thinking like having that business mindset of starting your business, your entrepreneur's mindset. What do you think the skills were that you had that helped you to get started?
I think I just had the awareness I didn't want to have a job, number one. So I had to figure out something else. And I think probably the most foundational thing for me was I started a little cleaning company at 21 years old. I dropped out of university, dropped out of business school to just do cleaning. So, people thought that was a great idea back then. And I dropped out. I was cleaning carpets, cleaning floors, cleaning toilets, and I really learned the value of how to talk to customers, how to talk to people. I saw some of the contractors and people in that world were very aggressive, very dismissive of people, and I realized that people were at the core of everything. So I labored in that company for 6 years, trying to get a foothold in the real estate endeavors and stuff that I wanted to get into, but really like being willing to just swallow your pride and just clean crap, just clean it, deal with people, deal with that level of consistent work. It was like how the Navy SEALs have a slogan: "Embrace the suck." It was just that. You'd get home at 10 o'clock at night, and then I'd have to go do a cleaning job, and that was the last thing I wanted to do. After an entire day of working, to go out and clean floors till 3 in the morning, and I had every Home Depot contract in southwestern Ontario, so that was one of my main jobs, and Toys R Us and Shoppers Drug Mart and all kinds of different. But that experience taught me a lot of different things in life. Number one, nothing was going to come easy, regardless of how much I wanted it to. It was never going to come easy. It was going to come at 10 cents a square foot, just like the cleaning business did. And it taught me the value of dealing with people, really understanding that people were at the core. And if I could get good at talking and dealing with people, then I could probably make a lot of money for myself. And I didn't know that it was going to be specifically real estate. But even in the cleaning business, most of those contracts were about how you talked with people. If you could budget, if you could address their concerns. So I was dealing with motivated, I guess you could say, owners of commercial and industrial buildings, and they needed to get their job sites clean. So those values and that level of experience, like I'm very indebted to that experience because it taught me the value of all these different things, which I eventually carried into real estate when I started aggressively buying at 25 years old.
That's amazing. And so really early on, you also basically realized that building relationships was a very important part to that.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, well,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah, so the relationships are vital because that's all you have in the cleaning world. There's always a lower cost competitor. There's always somebody willing to do the job for cheaper and just jump into the business and they're just going. They have this joke in the cleaning business that all it takes is a mop and a wringer, and that's true. A bucket and a mop is all it takes to start a cleaning business. So the barrier of entry was fairly low. And I realized that if I didn't develop great customer service just had to happen, right? Great communication just had to happen. You can't afford to be a poor communicator in cleaning, let alone real estate. And once I finally got into real estate at 25 and started really like negotiating deals and that kind of thing, I realized that that carried forward even more. The building skills and negotiation skills, it was incredible. It became the difference of literally thousands of dollars on every deal because now I could talk with homeowners. Now I could talk with agents. Now I could talk to people and find a win-win solution. So I never was overly aggressive with people, but I always try to be extremely empathetic. And there's something I got from my father, who's a minister. I got from him the value of being empathetic towards people and truly finding solutions to problems, not just trying to take advantage of other people's problems. So I think these are more core values. I don't know if they're necessarily a skill to answer your question, but these my own like core values, my own ethical beliefs about how to treat people. They've carried over and they've kind of been a secret weapon for me all along. And when I
Mhm.
meet people who understand those core values, it's like, man, you've got an advantage over everybody else in this business who doesn't understand these fundamental things.
100%. And I think though the skills are, let's say you spoke about empathy, because I mean, knowing how to be empathetic, I think that is important skill. And then even customer service skills and negotiation skills, those are all, things that you do, that really help. So would you say those things, those three would came easy to you, or did you like have to read books and study? Or did you get to like a pivotal point where you needed to, advance yourself and educate yourself more?
Well, I find that the value of a skill is in the daily commitment to that growth. So if you want to get good at sales, it's a daily commitment to wanting to get good at sales. I don't think a skill is something you can cheat. You can't go, I'm just going to put time in and I'm going to master this thing, but have no passion, desire, no commitment to it. So I just realized the importance of them. Talking to people didn't necessarily come easy to me, because I was kind of a little bit of a recluse person. I was very private, very shy for many years, not the version that I am today by any means. And I was in this. I was always polite because that's how my parents, taught me as we grew up. But I didn't have this outgoing personality that I developed later. But recognizing that, number one, I wasn't going to get paid in the cleaning business if I wasn't nice to customers. So that to me just came as a very logical thing. I remember one of my contractors, this older Italian guy. He's like, he used to go where my mom worked, and she had a diner, a bakery, and he used to go there and say, "Your son is the nicest guy. He will tell you to fuck off, but in the nicest possible way you've ever heard. It's the nicest cursing I have ever heard." And he was partially joking because that would have been my approach. It would have been very much a non-aggressive approach to dealing with people because I realized early on, Dana, that there's no positive circumstance that comes out of that negative consequence. So if you decide to cuss somebody out, you're going to momentarily feel good, but you're not going to actually end up doing good, right? Like you don't need to expose every feeling you have to the world. And I think sometimes it could be a drastic flaw to wear your heart on your sleeve in the business world. I understand that in the, let's say friendship world and family world, if you find value in that, I can get behind that ideology. But in the business world, I don't find it ever valuable to speak everything on your mind. That to me is a level of immaturity. So yeah, I think those three skills, the communication skill, very important. I think another thing that I call a skill is personal responsibility. I think that comes from a lot of withholding the feeding of the flesh, like I call it. So I want to spend money on all kinds of crap, but me holding back on that desire actually helps me build a stronger sense of personal responsibility. If I want to eat 15 donuts, but I don't, it helps me build deeper personal resolve and deeper personal responsibility. So I think personal responsibility for me is a very strong skill set that I think very many people, most people fail at miserably because they've never had to condition themselves into a position of constraint. We live with too many liberties and we live with too much comfort. And I think out of that comes complacency. And I think that's where people get stuck in business. They're far too complacent and they take far too much for granted and they don't live in a humble world like I aspire to every day. The world is bigger than me. I'll never outgive the world. I'll never be the top dog. So I never want to pretend like I am. I don't want to put my ego on display, and I don't want any trophies. I just want to live my life, inspire people, and do the right thing. And I think that in turn has a lot of positive reinforcements.
Oh, sorry, the last one bit cut off. The last
I said,
sentence. Sorry.
yeah, I said, I think it has a lot of positive outcomes in the world when you're willing to live that way.
100%. And so you were talking about personal responsibility.
Mhm.
So do you have a point in your life, a story where you realized that, or things kind of came together that you had to have personal responsibility?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, my whole life is a series of lessons about personal responsibility, financially, health wise. I remember in my finances, when at first I was very hungry as a 23-year-old in like a Romanian conservative community because all these people are very ambitious. And maybe your community is the same way, but our community is an extremely ambitious community. They're all doing stuff. They're all making money, buying houses, all this stuff. I didn't have much of anything, right? I dropped out of music school, then I dropped out of business school, and I didn't really have any of those chances. So I decided to trade stocks. So I went out, I got this $40,000 training education program, and I came back and I followed three-quarters of what I was supposed to do, and then I got excited and greedy, and then I just did live trading, and I ended up losing 40 grand. And I remember that was the most frustrating day of my life. I was pounding the table. I was very frustrated. And I said to myself, I will never, ever do this again. I'll never put myself, my money, my credit card money, investor money, any money ever, I'll never put it at risk in this way again. And that day was a lesson for me. It was a turning point. So I'm glad that happened because as a result of losing that 40 grand, I developed this very strict um, thought process about money, especially OPM. And I developed this pursuit of becoming a responsible fiduciary of capital. And that now, since that moment, I've raised over $30 million to put into real estate deals and all kinds of stuff. But that definitely taught me some lessons early on in my early 20s that really carried through. And now at 35, I'm so thankful for that experience. I don't know where I'd be if I didn't go through one of those. I might have lost more.
100%. I totally understand what you mean. Sometimes people will have these negative feelings about something that happened really, really bad in their life. And I feel that usually the reason why that happens is because they never reflected on it and learned from it. Because when you come across the most worst point in your life, and like that's where a lot of greatness will come if you're willing to learn from it and understand what was the cause. So I
Hmm.
totally agree. I feel like this is the same thing with me.
Well, dude, there's opportunity in every obstacle. You either have to look at that obstacle and say, what did I gain from it? Or you're going to look at it and say, what did I lose from it? The loss is easy. That anybody can look at the loss. That's the lowest common denominator answer. But what did you gain? Did you gain experience? Did you gain a commitment? Did you gain a new sense of responsibility? And then use that as a catalyst so that you can start pushing in the right direction. So everyone is just literally one defining moment away from seeing massive growth in their lives. But you've got to push when it gets hard. If you give up and you get complacent and you use it as a huge adversity and you start crying, woe is me, well, you've already given up. And then you fail to realize the lesson that experience is giving you. You just look at the negative. And I think that's a shame, dude. You're going to lose anyways. You're going to lose money, energy, headache, frustration anyways. Why not at least turn it into a positive and use it as an accelerator for your growth instead of using it as a massive detriment to your mindset, ego, and the rest of it? So it's your decision, everybody, to stand up and fight versus just giving up and laying down. It's too easy to give up. That's the easy way out. I think the mature thing is to stand up and fight for it.
100%. I totally agree with that. Now, going back to another comment that you made about that you used to be very reserved and quiet, and then you became much more outspoken. How did
Yeah.
that transformation happen? Was there again like a pivotal point in your life where you had something that happened, like you have a story that made you make that realization or open up or be the true person you are?
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember very vividly, um, you know, kind of talking with Andrea, my wife, and saying, hey, I don't like the friends we have. I feel like I'm surrounded by phonies. Monday through Friday, I'm working to grow my small business, and on the weekends, we hang out with people who don't get it. They just don't understand me. And I remember browsing TV one day on a lazy afternoon Sunday at my mother-in-law's house, and I see Grant Cardone pop up on the TV. And he says, be obsessed or be average. And up until that point, the word obsessed to me was a negative word because that's what I was trained by other people around me to believe. Grant turned the word obsessed into something positive, something almost romantic. Like you take this thing of obsession and then you become a creationist through this thing of obsession. And I realized that there was a healthy form of obsession out there. So I gave myself permission through Grant and through other things. I started pursuing aggressively. So I went to GrowthCon and I saw 9,000 people in a room. And I looked around here and I said, these are my people. This is where I need to be. So it was very pivotal to me. And I recognized one very significant thing. I said, I can either live in fear the rest of my life, because really, I had to break down why I was so reserved. And there was a fear of my community, a fear of my conservative nature. Like, I'd already made a couple $1,000,000 before I'd ever been public. I was very private, made money, did okay, had a nice home, had nice things. We traveled. Like, it really wasn't necessary for me to get uncomfortable, right? I already done dozens and dozens of deals up until this point. So I didn't have to. But I said I can either have good, and good at that point was maybe $5 million, or I can shoot for 50 or $100 million. But that was going to take me developing into a different person, somebody willing to be a lot more vocal, somebody willing to go and find his tribe, hashtag cashflow tribe, somebody willing to get out there and really like make a name, make a mark. But I was going to have to get criticized. I was going to get ostracized by people that I know. And I mentally prepared myself for that battle. I said, you know what? I'm going to find a whole group of people that absolutely hate what I stand for, and that's okay. But I'm also going to find my warriors. I'm going to find the people that believe what I believe. And those people, I'm never going to meet them if I don't make my mark, if I don't stand up and raise my voice. So, yeah, I made a decision at GrowthCon that I was going to be vocal. And it was probably about a year before I really pushed. And it was a struggle, man. Like the first year was a struggle. People just criticize the hell out of you. People, everything you can think of, from the way you look to the way you talk to the business you do. There's always going to be somebody out there who's either jealous, envious, or just bored out of their mind. And the only thing that gives them comfort is to poke at you. Because it's so much easier to look at other people's deficiencies than to confront your own. So I've learned that it's not about the fact that they're angry. It's that the fact that they're just dissatisfied with their own life. Whatever they're projecting on me really is something as a deep insecurity that they have for themselves. So I fought the battle, and I became this individual who just didn't give a shit. You know, I put all those preconceived notions behind. Now it doesn't matter. Whoever gets angry at me today will not matter 30 years from now. If you have an issue with the way I speak, what I do, you know, I know me. The people in my close proximity know me. They know that I'm highly ethical. They know that I'm highly responsible. They know that I care deeply about people. They know that I'm incredibly unique. I'm not going to dress up to impress you. I used to do all that. I used to like please the people. I used to try to please everybody, from parents to friends to my community to the business community to realtors. I used to please everybody. I even wore clothes that I blended in better with. So I made my mark. I stood up, and I'm glad I did. It wasn't easy, and it's not for everyone. If you don't have thick skin in this, don't do this, right? But I made a decision that, hey, by the time I'm 60, 70, I need to do significant things. And I think every person in this world who does incredibly significant things goes through a season of criticism, goes through a season of, negativity and whatever else. And so I just made that choice, and I made that commitment. So I just deal with it day by day.
That's amazing. And for that year that you said it took you to go through your transformation, how like what did you do to actually help yourself go through the transformation?
Well, I try to disconnect from the fakes video game of social media. I recognize that on social media, people think it's a real reality. For me, it's not. It's a video game. If I take every comment seriously and every Facebook friend seriously, then I'm gonna live in massive, bipolar disorder life. You can't. There's way too much up and downs in that reality. So I disconnected from news entirely. I don't watch the news. I don't give a rip. I don't focus on anything I frankly can't control, because I find that I got too distracted with everything around me that had nothing to do with me. And I remember Robert Kiyosaki, one of his books says, mind your own business. If your business is real estate, go mind that. Go focus on the things that are directly in your proximity instead of focusing on what everybody else around you is doing, because it doesn't matter. So I don't care about politics. I don't care about opinions. I don't care about none of that stuff. I realize that I'm in my highest and best use when I'm creating something independent of other people's influence. The moment I'm attracted to somebody else's thing and I get vested in their thing and I get attached to whatever they're doing, it's not really a good long-term thing for me. But again, I'm willing to carve my own way. I started doing a strategy called wholesaling in Canada 3 years ago before it was a thing, right? I literally went, learned this thing. I came to Canada. I consulted with my lawyer. I figured it out, and I started putting it together. Well, at the beginning, everybody was critical. Everybody was skeptical. Everybody challenged me on this. 3 years later, everybody's a wholesaler. So I have no problem pioneering things because I do believe that being first has its value. So I don't waste time. I move quickly, and you know what? I just whatever comes and whatever comes at me was gonna come at me anyways. So if it's criticism, whatever. If it's negativity, whatever. Like just bring it on. That's the only way I can live life is head on. That's it. But I will tell you this, it's made me way more aggressive. Very polite and very aggressive because I don't take anybody's shit.
Like you said, it gives you a really tough skin. All this time now you have a really tough skin.
Yeah, it conditions you. It really does. It's like an armor that goes over you. So I think the value for me is you get to develop into this very effective personality that doesn't get shut down easily. And whatever crap hits you, just keep moving through it. So for people who love that kind of conditioning and that kind of toughness, man, it'll do it to you. Small business will do it to you. But you got to fight through the crap, and most of it is up here. It's between your ears.
And to go from a very quiet person and, trying to keep to yourself to now very social person, was that something, um, did it come like a bit naturally to you, or was it very, very tough and like hard for you to become this like you yourself, not considering any criticism, like
Mm-hmm.
you yourself, like you feel like you started actually becoming the person who you really were, or was it something like you were learning to be a new person?
It was tough. It was absolutely tough because I didn't feel like doing this. I actually like the quiet, shy one. I like being under the radar because I don't like the unnecessary criticism. I don't like the gossip. I don't enjoy any of this stuff. I don't like fighting people on their opinions. In fact, I don't want to be bothered. So it was tough to make the decision to do it, and it was tough to like be mindful of that decision. I had to have some difficult conversations. I had to deal with difficult situations, and I still do on a regular basis. I'm just more free to express myself in the way that I want to. That's the difference. Where before, I remember one instance where I wanted to buy like a really cool SUV, a G-Wagon to drive it around all day. And I thought to myself, well, is everybody going to judge me by driving a G-Wagon? And then does that mean that people are going to think I have too much money and then they're not going to sell me their property? And are people going to judge me? So I ended up buying a Jeep instead. And I hate that damn Jeep. I like the car. It's a good car and everything. But the reason I hate it is because I settled. And I bought that Jeep because I was afraid of what people would say if I drove a G-Wagon all day or a brand new Range Rover all day. So, I had to get rid of all that crap. Those were all limiting beliefs that I had. So even though it was tough to move forward in this direction of my life, what it did was it helped me fight a lot of beliefs that I know are wrong. And I don't mind being reserved. Sometimes I go completely quiet and I'm just like, I'm not outgoing in every environment. I'm outgoing in the environments I choose to be. So for me, it's something I could turn on or turn off. But I'm glad that I've given myself the freedom to essentially spread my wings, because now if I need to, I can spread them in a moment, or I can just contract them and go back to myself. So it's a little bit of a Batman and Bruce Wayne type of thing. So I like that I'm able and willing to do that without shame, without fear of criticism. And I think that to me has been the most valuable lesson, is to just be able to bypass the fear of criticism. Because most of the businesses I start are brand new in their space anyways, and most people haven't done it before. I'm not usually starting copycat companies. I'm moving into entirely new things, and as a result, there is criticism. So I'm almost happy with my fear conditioning because it doesn't matter. It really helped me open up in a lot of ways. So yeah, I guess to answer your point, it wasn't easy, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. And it sounds like also that you now are very adaptable, which is also a very good thing because it sounds like you can kind of mold yourself to any situation as you need to, which I think is a great skill to have.
You got to be flexible, man. In this life, like you've got to be able to adapt on a dime. I think sometimes people get stuck in something that works or worked for them in the past, and then then they can't move. They get paralyzed. A new pandemic thing hits you, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm paralyzed. I can't work. I can't do this. I can't lose weight. I can't take care of my family." Well, you can, but you got to change what you're doing. You got to change the way you're doing it. No, you can't go to the gym and do the stuff that you used to go to. Find a different way. I used the last 6 months to get absolutely ripped because I just worked out in my basement. I bought some free weights and I just went to work with nothing fancy. I don't even have a light in the basement. I just worked out in the dark for 6 months. Literally Batman, right? But I did it because it just needed to be done because I was tired of being fat and overweight. Just like I was tired of eating crappy food and feeling sluggish all the time, so I got my health in check, right? Just like I was tired of struggling as a carpet cleaning, business or as a small landlord, and I just decided I'm going to make a lot of money in real estate and not struggle financially anymore. Or, I was a dick the first couple years of my marriage because I was so focused on work and not my wife. I decided to fix all that and be a better husband to my wife. So all these things are decisions. Everything is a decision. And just think we make we make far too many excuses that really aren't valuable. We live in an amazing country of Canada. You have every benefit that this universe has to offer you. And if you're sitting back going, woe is me, I'm a victim, you know what? I just think you're not real. Like, you obviously don't have a clue and you have no perspective. I'll plop you in 70% of the countries in the world, and you'd have it a lot worse off than you have it where you're at. So I just think we need to wake up and just smell the benefit, smell the abundance around you, and focus on the things you can control. That's it. There's no other secret.
100%. And also, I think people don't realize what is an excuse. I think like the awareness that they're making an excuse like is also very hard because I've started realizing with this personal development journey afterwards, especially with doing that 75 hard, was like where I really started to actually analyze my mind and realize is what I'm saying, is that an excuse or not? When did you have your pivotal moment with personal development, where you realized personal development, like you actually became aware of that personal development was a very important part of your life?
Personal development is one of those things where it's like you're filling up a cup and you get that cup to, like, you keep filling it and you really don't see an obvious result, but then at some point you fill it up enough where it starts overflowing over that cup, and then it's like, oh my God, now I see the real results of the personal development. The reason why most people don't focus on it is because they don't get immediate gratification from it. There's no immediate ROI in personal development. It's a long game. It's a long-term game because you got a lot of crap you need to work through. You're not going to work out for 6 weeks and have a six-pack. So you're not going to read books for 6 weeks and have a mental six-pack. It doesn't work that way. But it's a commitment to getting a little bit better and a little bit better. But once that cup pours over, that's when it becomes an exponential growth. Then all of a sudden you're like, boom, boom, no different than weight loss. Once you finally shift your body from sugar adapted to fat adapted, all of a sudden you start burning the calories, and boom, and you start getting the form that you want and the muscles that you want. All that stuff comes though after months and months of hard work. So for me, it was the same thing. I struggled through it. I failed. I did yo-yo diets. I did yo-yo reading. I did yo-yo everything. And so I just kept going, and saw gradual progress. The biggest thing for me was getting around other people that were more developed. I joined masterminds. I got a mentor. I got into groups of rooms of people that were more developed than me, and I started asking, what's the difference between this guy and me? And the majority of the differences were he'd just been doing personal development for a couple more years. So I said, I'm just going to keep pushing because although it's not always fun, it's not hurting you. If anything, it's making you better. How much better? It's gradual. It depends on you. It depends on your mindset. But you're not going to grow at the same pace as everybody. But the truth is you're growing. And you're going to wake up one day, 2 years from now, and you'll be freaking chiseled, and you'll have an amazing mindset, and you're going to have an amazing business, and you're going to have amazing relationships, and you're going to go, what was that one thing? It was 2 years of small things. And that's the reality of the slight edge. So I don't know if there's one defining moment on personal development, but once you wake up one day and you go, holy crap, I'm a better human being, then it becomes like a big addiction. And then that's all you want to do. I don't want to eat crap. I don't want to think crap. I don't want to pollute my mind with junk. I don't want to have crappy relationships. I have nothing in common with anybody in those circumstances. What I want to do is grow, support people, encourage the world, and I want to go help people develop themselves because there's a fulfillment in that you just can't buy. And you'll never get to know what it's like to be a mentor until you're a mentor. The fulfillment is unreal because it's like a part of you is reborn. So it's totally cool, man. Totally cool.
100%. And I'm sure for you even, it's like you have all these little babies, and watching them grow just makes you feel so happy because you're just like, wow, I help these people, right?
We've got, dude, I've got so many babies. They call me the Romanian Genghis Khan. No, but we've got our mastermind group, the council, which is amazing, of men and women who are warriors. We've got Cashflow Tribe, which has hundreds of people in one community, thousands in another community, and everybody's growing at their own rate. And it's such a privilege, to be the CEO and to watch these people's stories from where they were to where they are, and more importantly, be able to see where they're going. And that is just amazing. So
100.
I'm very excited to kind of share other people's journeys and watch their progress. I just think it's amazing. So yeah, it's an amazing journey to do that. But I think we also again have a responsibility. That means that we have to, if you can help somebody in this world and you choose not to, shame on you. Shame on you. Because by the same token, if you needed help, wouldn't you want somebody to reach a hand out to you? So it's not about doing the work for you. It's about, giving you courage or help pushing you or giving you resources or giving you a hand up, not just a hand out. So I think there's a lot of people that are willing to do the work if you simply give them an opportunity and encourage them enough. And that's what I strive to do every day.
100%. And let's say for you, who in your life gave you that opportunity that felt like it gave you that push up to the next level? Do you have anyone in mind that kind of gave you that opportunity that was like really pushed you to the direction that you are now?
I have a lot of people to thank. Most of all, my dad. I mean, my dad at 28 years old escaped the communist country on foot, and he had five little kids, and he made a choice to just run and flee communism, leave everyone and everything behind to pursue a better life for his family. So just watching that is so inspirational. And I've had other mentors, Chris and Mark and Matt and Judge and so many other like people in my life and family, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, like just people who in one way or another have really encouraged me to keep moving forward. My wife's have been a huge supporter. She's been a mentor in many ways. Because I struggle with stuff like everybody else. I struggle with anger issues. I struggle with problems, but I fight through them. And I find people who don't, in whatever capacity, and I ask for help. I don't ever want to be too big to ask for help. Somebody knows something you don't, or somebody's better at something than you are. And I think the moment that's the case, that person can be a mentor to you. So, I mean, in my world, I have literally hundreds of mentors, people that I meet every day that I learn something from, that I get to reflect on my own life and my own journey because of their stories. And I think that's what keeps us all connected is everybody's unique story.
100%. And also just on what you said that, you know, always being humble enough to ask for help is always a great thing to have because if we start like letting our egos take control and we think that we know everything is when we basically start heading down. So I think that's also one of the important things of being a successful entrepreneur is knowing that there's always going to be someone that people that can teach us things.
The word success doesn't mean much to me because a lot of people see it as an end point. For me, it's an ongoing journey and development. So people go, man, you're so successful. I'm like, dude, I'm just working. That's it. I mean, I might be further along than the next person, but I'm nowhere near where I need to be. And I think that that's the mindset that you develop as an entrepreneur, business owner, whatever. And for me, I don't even care about these labels. They're just words. They don't mean much anything. What matters to me is a person's heart. If a person is growing every day, whether they're brand new in their journey or whether they're experienced in their journey, I'm just 14 years deep into this. That's it. And yes, we've done some cool things with money, done some cool things with business, with community, but I mean, we're just scratching the surface on what's possible. There's so many more things available to us. And I think the longer we stay in that mindset of growth and the less we stay in this mindset of I'm a success, it's something that just keeps pushing you forward. I don't walk around, I'm successful. I think that's bullshit. It's compared to whom? Compared to Bill Gates, you're just another stone in the pond. So I believe that you should appreciate what you have. I believe you should be thankful for the results that you've gotten and everything in life. That's amazing. But at the same time, it's like, hey, if you're so successful, go help somebody. Right? I mean, if you're so incredibly successful, go help some people. Because I think the worst thing is when somebody is successful or they made it, but they only live for themselves. All the money they make only goes towards their own expenses. That to me is the worst lifestyle you can have. You're so afraid of giving that you spend everything you make. And that's a shitty life. So if you're so successful, go help some people. Otherwise, keep growing, keep making money, keep creating impact, and go and create opportunities to help people. And you will be, by a lot of other definitions, successful. You'll make a lot of money, absolutely. Jim Rohn says, help enough people get what they want, and you'll eventually get what you want. And I fully agree with that. So if you want to make a lot of money, go help thousands of people. Find a way to provide value and start with that. And then you'll figure out a way to make money with it.
100%, totally agree. That was, yeah, amazing what you said. And so I know you have to get going. So I have one last question for you. And that question is, what are your future goals? How do you see yourself in the next few years?
Well, I've got a lot, but definitely top of my list is impacting people. I want to impact the world around me. So whatever that looks like, whether it's through, financial education, whether that's through personal development. I've written a couple books. We've got a couple more in the works right now, whether that's through courses, trainings, direct involvement with one of my companies, the real estate firm, the mortgage firm. It's all about people. So I'm always going to be looking for creative ways to solve problems that are in the world around me. And the more that I do that, the more people that I help, again, the further we get. So I don't have numbers. In terms of finances, I'm good. Like, in terms of what I'm going to spend, I'm good for a couple lifetimes. Because I don't need to prove much these days. So I don't need to go buy the biggest and the craziest. For me, like, I've already got a Lambo. I've already got a beautiful home. I've already got money in the bank. Like, there's only so many things you can buy before it just gets boring. Like, you need 6 Lambos? Probably not. Unless you're some kind of car collector. So I've already got the material things I want for me in my life. Now it's just about people and impact. What cool things can I create to help people? Like Tribe, and we get to hang out and do amazing events, and we get to do these powerful weekends and boot camps to help people, and we do this crazy virtual events. And a few months ago, Matt and I put on an event where we touched 3% of all Canadians, which was pretty cool. So that's the stuff I love doing. I love going out and spending 400 grand on Facebook ads and touching the whole country, because nobody else has the courage to do that. They're so focused on the money and not on the impact, where I'm focused on the impact, and then the money will come. And dude, that's a hard adversary to beat when they don't give a rip about your money. I'm good on money. I care about people. So I don't need to cut corners. I don't need to charge whatever. I just need to help people grow and push them forward. So that to me is my end goal. That's what I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing, is finding ways to serve. And I thank my dad for being always a role model in that space by being a minister, And both my parents, actually, my mom and dad, I watched them be, extremely giving their whole life. So I want to help people, and I feel like I'm finally in my calling where cleaning carpets just wasn't my thing. Helping people, with areas that I'm very proficient in, like financial IQ, those are areas that I can really serve people on a high level, and that's what I'm going to keep doing.
That's amazing. You're so inspirational. Thank you so much for this conversation. It was really fun chatting with you.
Yeah, appreciate you too, Diana. Keep rocking, girl. Keep moving forward, and so glad to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's nice to have everyone on. Bye, Ben.
Okay,
Bye,
take care.
everyone.
See you later. Cheers.
Cheers.